Hi guys, how are you all? This is Bilal Ahmed. I'm a Microsoft certified professional and certified specialist with C# programming. We are starting this new session ASP.NET MVC, and first of all I would like to say thanks to all of you guys for joining us on Facebook and for your subscription. And if you're not subscribed to our channel, I would request you guys to please find the link in the description and please subscribe to our channel. So today we are going to start our new course, that is ASP.NET MVC, and today's class would be most on theoretical basis. So I would like to explain ASP.NET in detail to understand the three layers of this architecture, right? So our agenda for today is like to understand basic knowledge of web, and then the ASP.NET framework, and after that we'll move on to MVC architecture, right? So the website is like a collection of text, images or videos or audios, right? A website is hosted on some external servers, so you can access through your browsers, through your client applications, and every website runs on HTTP protocol, right? HTTP is a hypertext transfer protocol. We will learn more about this protocol in our later session, but for now on we just for the understanding of websites and how they work. So every website, every browsers render HTML, that is a hypertext markup language, and most of the website are built with the HTML languages, right? And this is a diagram just to explain you the things, like this is a browser, a web browser, a client application, and a website is hosted somewhere on the server, so you can access through your browsers, right? You and the browser, the relationship, basically the relationship between the browser and the server is the relation of request and response. Whenever you need something, we just request to the server, and in response of that request, server just responds with some items or some pages or some files or some graphics, right? So the relationship between client and server is the request and response throughout the website. So that was the basic understanding of the website, and now we will move on to the ASP.NET. ASP.NET runs on a .NET framework, and we can do like a rapid application development with the ASP.NET. We just drag and drop things, we just drag and drop tools, and then we define events for that tools. And ASP.NET is very easy to learn and to understand. If I talk about the ASP.NET framework or ASP.NET overview, we have an ASP.NET, and on top of that we have different forms, different types of presentation layers. We have web forms, we have web pages, we have MVC, web APIs, and Singular. They are all the presentations layer, like these are the application, these are the architectures, or these are the models through which we present ASP.NET. And on top of that, we build websites and we build services, right? The web forms, web pages, and MVC help us to build a website. And the other thing like web API or the Singular, they help us to build some services using these technologies, right? So that was just the basic overview of website and the ASP.NET. Now we will move on to our main topic, our main course. What is MVC? MVC is a model view controller, right? MVC is a design pattern. Most of the people, they think that MVC is like some kind of new framework or some kind of programming language, but I would say that MVC is a design pattern, right? And it's an acronym for Model View Controller. And what MVC gives us, like we were building websites before MVC, we can use web form as well for the website. But what is the difference between the web forms and the MVC? What does MVC comes up with? So MVC comes up with the separation of concerns, right? The last topic, the separations of concern. What is the separation of concern? Like all of the components are only responsible for one thing. If you have a model, the model is responsible for only one thing. If we have a view in our model, in our architecture, then the view is responsible only for one thing. It's same as with the controller, right? So each concern has a different purpose in our architecture, right? SRP and DRY, single responsibility principle, and don't repeat yourself. And on top of that, they are all loosely coupled. Loosely coupled means when we make changes with one model, with one architecture, or with one part of the architecture, we do not need to change the other one, right? So they are all loosely coupled. And with the MVC, what we do, we remove dependencies, right? We remove the interdependencies of the layers in MVC, right? All the three layers are different and they have different works to perform, and they have some different tasks to perform, right? So if I talk about model specifically in the design pattern, what a model does, model is like a data store for us. What a model does, model contains a business logic. And again, a model is just a regular C# class. If you know what a C# class, then you can easily build your own model, then you can easily build your own you can easily write your own models, right? And all the data manipulation logic, all the data logics are contained in the model, right? So if I say that the model is our database, this would be okay, because we whenever we need data, we will communicate with the model. Whenever we need data, we will send a message or send a request to the models for that information or for the data, right? So the model layer contains all the data logics, all the business logics. And then we have a view layer, right? The model view. Model is a database. What view is, view interacts with the user. I mean all the interactions with the end user, this is the responsibility for the view, right? And what view does, view just visualize the models and communicate to the user. Like what we have in the model, we have a data in the model, and what view does, view just visualize all the data from the model. And view is built on like a standard HTML, JavaScript, and CSS like most of the other website. And views can also render JSON and XAML, and can return some custom types as well. So we will work on the views in our courses, in our course later on, but for now I just want you to give you an overview of the three layers, that what are they exactly and what are their responsibilities in the design pattern, right? And then we have a controller. Yes, a controller is a traffic cop. I mean, it just coordinates with the other two layers if and the main thing, the user request. Whenever the user requests, the request would directly come up with the controller, and now it's a controller's responsibility, either if he needs some data to complete the request or to give him a proper response. So if he needs some data to complete that particular request, he will communicate with the model and then will present the data on the view. So the controller is just like a communicator or coordinator between the two layers, the view and the models, right? And controller is responsible for receiving all the requests from the users, right? And if I present it like what does MVC look like, so you have a request coming into your browser, to your application, then you have a controller, right? He retrieves he received the requests, and if he needs some data to complete the request, if he needs some data, he will communicate to the model there, and then we'll present the view, and that's the proper response to the users, right? So this was the basic overview and basic architecture of the MVC. In the next lesson we will start on with some coding. So thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.